Hello, today we are going to talk about febrile seizures, the most common seizure type in children, and by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to classify them, work them up, and manage them with confidence. So, first, what exactly is a febrile seizure? A febrile seizure is a seizure that occurs in a child with fever, but without any underlying CNS infection, any metabolic disturbance, and any prior history of epilepsy. So, febrile seizure is not epilepsy. It's not a sign of brain damage. It is the brain's response to a rapid rise in body temperature. Febrile seizures are the most common seizure type in children that affects 2 to 5% of children in Western countries and up to 12% in some part of Asia. The classic age window is 6 months to 5 years, with peak incidence around 12 to 18 months. So, below that age or above it, we should start thinking about other diagnoses. The American Academy of Pediatrics gave us a clean 5-point definition in 2011, and it's worth memorizing each criterion because the diagnosis really is one of exclusion. Number 1, fever of 38 degrees Celsius or higher. Number 2, age between 6 and 16 months. That is 5 years of age. Outside this window, you need to think differently. Number 3, no CNS infection. You must rule out meningitis and encephalitis, especially in younger children where signs can be very subtle. Number 4, no metabolic disorder. Child must be having normal electrolytes and normal glucose and calcium. And number 5 is there should be no history of prior afebrile seizures. If the child has had seizures without fever before, this is not a febrile seizure. This is epilepsy presenting with a coincidental fever. So all 5 boxes must be checked. If any one of them fails, you are not dealing with a typical febrile seizure. Now, the Association of Child Neurology India released updated guidelines in 2021, and there are a few key differences worth noting, particularly if you practice in Asia. The Association of Child Neurology India raises the fever threshold slightly, that is, they use greater than 38.4 degrees Celsius, which is 101 degree Fahrenheit. They also extend the upper age limit to 6 years, not 5. So, for your exams, remember both thresholds 38 degrees centigrade for AAP and 38.4 degrees centigrade for AOCN. So, why do febrile seizures happen? The origin is multifactorial. It involves 3 interacting components: genetic susceptibility, environmental triggers, and age dependent neuronal excitability. The developing brain between 6 months and 5 years is uniquely vulnerable. Neuronal excitability is naturally higher at this age, and when fever hits, the threshold for a seizure drops. On the genetic side, we see variants in sodium channel genes, particularly SCN1A, that affects neuronal excitability. About 30% of children with febrile seizures have a positive family history, and the inheritance pattern is often autosomal dominant with reduced penetrance. On the inflammatory side, fever triggers the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines, particularly interleukin 1 beta and tumor necrotic factor alpha, which directly lowers the seizure threshold. Genetic variation in cytokine genes also play a role, which is why some children seize with low-grade fevers and others never seize at all despite high fevers. Bottom line, it's the combination of the right genetic background at the right age with the right inflammatory triggers. Febrile seizures are classified into 2 types: simple and complex, and the distinction drives everything that comes after that. That is your workup, your admission decision, your treatment, and your counseling. Simple febrile seizures have a generalized onset. They last less than 15 minutes. They do not reoccur within the same 24-hour period, and they leave no post-ictal neurological deficit. This is the benign variety presentation. However, the complex febrile seizures may have focal features, or it lasts more than 15 minutes, or it reoccurs within 24 hours, or the child has a post-ictal neurological deficit. Any one of these features make it complex. So, if it is long, focal, recurs, or leaves a deficit, it's complex. Everything else is simple. Now let's talk workup. And I want to start with something very important. For simple febrile seizure, our investigations are largely driven by clinical judgment, not by reflex ordering. Hospital admission is indicated in three situations. First, any first episode in a child under 18 months, because at this age meningitis signs can be incredibly subtle and you simply cannot afford to miss that. Second, any complex febrile seizure, full stop. Third, an unreliable family or social situation where safe home management cannot be guaranteed. Lab tests are not recommended routinely for simple febrile seizure. For complex, you order labs based on the clinical picture. Similarly, EEG and neuroimaging is not recommended in simple febrile seizure but recommended in complex febrile seizure or when there are focal neurological findings or when the child has prolonged altered mental status. And critically, EEG does not predict recurrence or future epilepsy. Talking about the lumbar puncture, it should be done only if there are signs of meningitis. If the child recently received antibiotics, masking the symptoms, or if you are managing a child under 18 months where your threshold should be lower. The key message here is that don't over-investigate a simple febrile seizure. It adds cost, anxiety, and no clinical benefit. Let's move to management, both prophylaxis and acute treatment. Prophylaxis, the short answer for simple febrile seizure is do not give it. The evidence does not support routine anti-epileptic prophylaxis. The seizures are benign and the side effects of medicines outweigh the benefit. However, consider prophylaxis when there is high recurrence risk, when seizures are prolonged beyond 15 minutes, or when seizures have previously required pharmacological termination. The International League Against Epilepsy has specific threshold for intermittent prophylaxis, that is 3 or more episodes in 6 months, 4 or more in a year, or complex febrile seizures with prolonged duration. Regarding acute treatment, if the seizure is actively happening, first choice is rectal diazepam that is given at the onset. And if it is not available, then oral diazepam can be given. And if the fever persists, repeat the diazepam after 8 hours. And the most important clinical rule you must memorize that if the seizure exceeds 3 to 5 minutes, act immediately. Do not wait to see if it stops on its own, because prolonged seizure risk evolving into status epilepticus and that changes the entire clinical picture. Parents will always ask, will this happen again? And you should be prepared to give them an honest, evidence-based answer. There are 4 key risk factors for recurrence. 1. Age under 15 months at the time of first episode. 2. A family history of febrile seizures or epilepsy. 3. The first episode itself was complex. And 4th, exposure to daycare or school essentially that increase the infectious exposure. With 0 risk factor, a recurrence probability is around 10 to 15%. With 1 factor, it jumps to about 25%. With 2 factors, you are looking at 50% increased risk, and with 3 or more factors, the risk exceeds 75 to 80%. This is why risk stratification matters. A child with the first simple febrile seizure and 0 risk factor can likely be managed conservatively. But a child with multiple risk factors deserves close follow-up and potentially a prophylaxis conversation. Let's put it all together with this management algorithm. If a child presents with their first febrile seizure, your first step is always ABC, that is airway, breathing in circulation, and vital sign. Confirm the fever and get a clear seizure history. Then you classify, is this simple or complex? If it's simple, identify the source of fever, observe until stable, and discharge with thorough parental guidance. No routine labs, no imaging, no EEG. If it's complex, you dig deeper. Identify the source of fever, do a full neurological examination, strongly consider hospital admission, and pursue investigations. EEG, neuroimaging, and anything else that is indicated by the clinical picture. So this algorithm is clean, evidence-based and prevents both undertreatment of complex cases and overtreatment of simple ones. Parental education is genuinely one of the most impactful things we do for these families, and it's often rushed. On seizure first aid, teach parents to place the child on their side in the recovery position, clear the area of hard objects, and never ever put anything in the child's mouth. Time the seizure. Their duration is critically important. On fever management, use paracetamol or ibuprofen. Keep the child from being overbundled, maintain hydration, and monitor temperature. On when to call an ambulance, seizure lasting more than 5 minutes, child not breathing after the seizure ends, multiple seizure in the same illness, or difficulty waking up. So immediately the parents should call an ambulance. And finally, the most important thing is reassurance. Most febrile seizures are benign. They do not cause brain damage. They do not predict epilepsy. Neurological development is typically normal in these children. Parents who are well informed have better outcomes and less anxiety driven emergency visits. Alright, let's wrap up with the 5 things I want you to walk away remembering. Number 1, most febrile seizures are benign and self limiting. Your job is to differentiate simple from complex. That distinction drives everything. Number 2, avoid unnecessary investigation in simple febrile seizure. No reflex labs, no EEG, no imaging. Clinical judgment leads here. Number 3, recurrence risk is stratifiable. Use the 4 risk factors to counsel families honestly. Number 4, act fast if the seizure lasts more than 3 to 5 minutes. Rectal diazepam is your first line intervention. Don't wait. And number 5 is parental education is not optional. It is a core component of management and it makes a real difference. All the content in this video is based on 3 major evidence-based guidelines: the American Academy of Pediatrics 2011, the Association of Child Neurology India 2021, and the International League Against Epilepsy. So that's a wrap on febrile seizure. I hope this gives you a solid clinical foundation whether you are preparing for exam, seeing these cases in the emergency department, or just trying to counsel our terrified parents more effectively. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow and reach more medical students and clinicians. Drop a comment below if you have questions or if there is a topic you would like me to cover next. See you in the next one.